sure you realize that a lot of our members, most of them, ask very, very pertinent questions, and they ask questions, not as politicians, but this time as leaders. Because politicians think of the next election, while leaders think of the next generation. And I believe the questions that have been asked from members across the aisle speak to the very core of our existence as Nigerians and the next generation. A lot of issues have been raised. Many have spoken about why now. And in your presentation, you talked about, and you repeated over and over, the urgency of now. But unfortunately, I don't think you hammered on that point well enough. So in your response, I would want you to really hammer, in fact, to me, it's like the urgency of yesterday. Honorable Minister, I want to take you up on one point, which I think we may need to look at. You talked about section, I believe it was 23 of the Petroleum Re, thereabouts. Because one of the members had asked that why didn't you bring your position to the National Assembly for enactment? Now, that has not been the practice. But in looking at that provision of the Act, I want us to go back, perhaps after today, and look at the provisions of section perhaps 51 or 58 thereabouts, or 59, 51 or 59. And let us try and reconcile it, because that talks about hikes in prices, lowering of prices, and it implies that those things should be brought for enactment in the National Assembly. So let us look at it, because I think whatever we do, we need to do within the confines of the law. Perhaps, of course, we can describe this as another doctrine of necessity. But Honorable Minister, there's something I believe you have not done. And I believe you have dropped the ball in going around and communicating, and I'm not talking about you as a person, I'm talking about the government, in communicating to Nigerians. There's something, I started doing my research, because the impression people have today is that this problem is isolated to Nigeria. A lot of people believe that this is a peculiar problem, peculiar to Nigeria. Honorable Minister, there's something I read called crude awakening. Not rude awakening, but crude awakening. What you have not done is a comparative analysis of what is happening to all oil-producing countries in the world. In doing my little research, I found that even Russia, that is 70% dependent on oil, has hiked its interest rate to 17% to strengthen its ruble. Venezuela, 60% inflation, declared a 60-day economic emergency, and they began to raise taxes, which we haven't done. Saudi Arabia, with all its deposits and its $700 million foreign reserve, has actually raised its bond price by 40%. And they didn't do this yesterday, they did it in December. Bahrain, the same thing, they cut subsidies. Qatar, 30% hike in petrol price since January 14th. And they're now selling at about 140, equivalent 140 naira. They cut subsidies as well. They cancelled their national health care system. Mr. Honorable Minister, the same thing applies in Iran, Iraq, and the rest of them. There is no country, no open country today that can balance its budget, not one. Because the average that is needed for them to be able to balance their budget is about $100 per barrel. I want you to address these issues globally, in the global context, not the Nigerian context. I think if we do that, people will begin to understand that this is not isolated, this is not a Nigerian problem, but a global problem. And if we don't do something fast, we might run into trouble. We've talked about nomenclature, we've talked about semantics, deregulation, liberalization. Well, here's one for you. Because members have asked, the public have asked, why would you deregulate and cap at the same time? How about protective deregulation? Which is exactly what you have described here. Perhaps you want to elaborate on that. Protective deregulation, it says that you are protecting the masses from exploitation of the few. And these are the issues that I think we should engage people more. And I think you've made a mistake. Some of us have been gotten into trouble because of that. My position has been well documented. Members have knocked me here. My articles in 2010 have been published in the papers today. But like you have rightly said, this is about the urgency of now. The exigencies are different. We will run into trouble if we don't go the way other OPEC countries are going. And that is my position, and I'd like you to clarify that, members. Thank you very much.
I like the coinage of urgency of yesterday. Perhaps that tells my story better. But the reality, like I've emphasized, is we're in such dire straits that if there were other options open to us, we probably would have explored it. But our income stream, our foreign exchange reserve position, the need to address these issues quickly.
Most OPEC countries, so that data is already in your system. And it clearly shows that over the last 12 months, every single member of OPEC has exited subsidy, has increased fuel pricing, and even countries that are so blessed by virtue of the sort of reserve potentials, including UAE and Qatar, who have the highest reserves in the world, have all pulled up subsidy and increased pump prices quite dramatically. Because the reality is that without that, they did not believe they would be able to balance their budget. And even at that, they're running deficit budgets. So it's a global problem. And Nigeria can therefore not sit back, given the fact that Nigeria even earns less with 170 million people. We can't sit back and refuse to take an action. The greatest difficulty for this country will be not to do something when we are faced with stark realities of difficulties. I think we'll be failing our polity.